amazing or what?
Yay!
It's been great to see you all having a great time in the sunshine. It's been great to see some amazing cars, and it's been wonderful for me, through commentary, to tell the story of Lucas through the eyes of some amazing vehicles as well. We started right in the early 1920s with that Bugatti Type 35B, ran all the way through to modern XKs and Jaguars and everything in between. And throughout that, ladies and gentlemen, I was not only joined by so many of you watching alongside the track, but for the afternoon session I was joined by TV's own Fuzz Townsend, and he's going to join me on stage now to tell us a little bit about life with cars and music. So please put your hands together for TV's Fuzz Townsend!
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here, back at Shelsley Walsh again. It's always brilliant to be here. I've loved every minute that I've ever spent here. Fantastic weather today, great company, some fantastic cars as well. It's been a really beautiful event, I think, and I really hope that this continues. This is one of the events that I really have enjoyed this year.
Absolutely. The first ever year of the Lucas Classic. Let's make it the first of many to come. So tell all your friends next year that this is where they need to be in June with their cars going up the hill.
That's right, but it's got to last for at least 3 years because we've got to get to the 150th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah, so that must absolutely happen, which is just a huge benchmark, isn't it, really?
It is, and you're a man of the Midlands, Fuzz. It is an amazing piece of not only motoring heritage with Lucas and Girling, but also heritage of this part of the world. It employed so many people in this part of the world, didn't it?
Well, that's right. A lot of the skills that have gone together to build motor cars over the entire history of the motor vehicle has been centred around the Midlands, not just in the West Midlands, but all over the place. Great innovation. Really great styling, sort of engineering at its best, and there are still lots of great engineering endeavours that are out there that are still performing. Great services to both ancient and modern cars, and of course commercial vehicles. So it's great that all of those skills are out there. People say that there's skills are dying off, but actually some of them are going into sheds. But there are some forward-thinking companies that are taking on a lot of new people to learn older skills. So that's great to see as well, because let's face it, we still need our panel beaters, we still need our upholsterers, we still need all of these people to service the classic industry and also the modern industry and the bespoke, sort of bespoke build cars as well. A few of those have been here today, and marvellous they are. And of course we've got electric cars. Of course, we've seen that fantastic electric Land Rover going like a scalded cat up the hill. Absolutely fantastic, and the hush before it went off was brilliant. I thought it was great. So, I'm into all of the innovation, and of course, long may a lot of it be based in the Midlands.
Absolutely, and great to see as well. A round of applause for the Midlands, Jeff. Come on.
Any Brummies here? Come on. Yeah, there we go. I'm one.
I'm outnumbered. I'll keep my head down. No, in all seriousness though, some great technology from Lucas over its heritage, but also in the modern day. And we had that wonderful E-Type from SMG Barrett going up the hill, sporting new, modern Lucas fuel injection systems, and of course, being trialled with synthetic fuels. It could well be the future of keeping our historic vehicles on the road for many years to come, which is what we absolutely have to do, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I believe it will. I think synthetic fuels are the way forward, and a lot of people who are running ordinary internal combustion engine cars now, just ordinary family people who have no real interest in anything to do with the car, apart from its transportation purposes. They're quite worried about the fact that we might not be able to get any fuel anymore. We have to move across to electric. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. I'm all for keeping vehicles on the go and on the road, and I hope that we'll still hear cars pulling away from traffic lights for many years to come, rather than just a silent swish or that kind of jangly little sound that a lot of them make.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, here's to keeping historic vehicles on the road, everyone.
Yeah! You all do that magnificently as well. There are some just stonking cars out there.
And we've got prizes to give away to some of the stonkiest of the stonking cars. There's even some chocolate to give away. I'm sorry, whoever wins the chocolate, you'll probably have to devour it with a straw. But we will give that away. Before we get into the awards though, please put your hands together and make a massive noise for all of our volunteer marshals. Without
them, motorsport like this would not happen. They do a great thing, they keep everybody safe, they make sure that everything's going well and running smoothly. And are you still always looking on the lookout for new marshals and training? Yes? Yep, so if you've really enjoyed today and you want to spend more time here, talk to the marshals, talk to the staff here, and they will help you to go forward and get your qualifications and learn about what goes on here.
I think you look quite fetching in an orange set of overalls.
Hold on, I don't know, there's a rowdy marshal down the back there. What was that, sir?
Lead by example.
Lead by example.
That's exactly.
Oh, okay,
I think you look good in orange, don't you? I think that'll suit him marvellously.
That's right. A lot of prisons use that, don't they? As well. Are you here by of your own choice, of your own volition?
Brilliant, and a huge round of applause to the companies that brought what we call the black section cars up the hill for today, which was of course SMG Barrett.
Hey!
And also the 4x4s, Paul Myers particularly driving that beast of a Paris-Dakar monster machine thing from Britpart.
Hey!
And also a big round of applause to all those people I might have forgotten. And you know, Fuzz and I know each other for a long time now, in fact years. We go back a long time to when Fuzz was a reporter on a newspaper that I was plugging stories to called Classic Car Weekly. That's where we first met. But we sort of were like ships passing in the night, Fuzz. I've never really sat down with you and asked you about your story, your life, your career. So we're going to do a bit of that now. Do you want to hear all about Fuzz Townsend's life?
Nobody needs to know that. See, that was a very small tune. Compared to the Marshall.
There were some worry faces. I realised with the worry faces, those people that know you.
If I was wearing orange, I'd have got a bigger tune.
So let's start.
Okay,
First
sit
question.
down.
Should we sit down? Yeah, let's get. This is like Red Book, Michael Parkinson style.
It is, yeah. I haven't got emu here for anybody old enough to remember that. Which is lucky. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Billy Connolly's on next.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So, let me start with this first question. What came first? Was it music or cars?
I think both of them at the same time. But it's actually, it was music and buses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But my first word, because I was a foster kid, so my mum couldn't look after me when I was first born. She had to go out to work and stuff. So I was fostered by a lovely family, and that ended up from the age of 9 months all the way through to, well, they're still my foster brothers and sisters now, but so I was a foster kid, so I used to spend weekdays, well, 6 days of the week with my foster family, and I hadn't, during the first 9 months of my life, sort of had much exposure to anything. Times were different then. I was kind of kept a bit hidden away. And so then my foster family took me on, and I ended up suddenly with 2 sisters and a brother who were they were all teenagers at the time, and so they quite took to this little lad. Unfortunately, that family had, my foster mum had lost a baby at full term, and so there was a gap in their family that hadn't been filled, and I just came along and filled that gap. So suddenly my brothers and sisters got the little baby that they thought they were going to be able to knock about with. So they took great delight in not only looking after me and making life easy, I think, for my foster folks, but they also started trying to teach me to talk. And they noticed that as we were in the car when we were going anywhere, of course, there weren't any rear car seat belts or any car seats of any type in the 1960s. So I'd be looking out the back of the car, and of course, inevitably, we'd overtake a very slow-moving Gardner engine bus, and I'd perk up at these buses and just look at them. We lived on a Warsaw Corporation route, and every bus, anything that came around the corner was different. It had a bit of a maverick engineer who couldn't stop fiddling with his vehicles. So everything looked different, and my first word, therefore, was bus.
And so started the illness.
Well, yeah, that I suppose you could say that came first, but I was also always apparently listening to music. Whenever music was on, I was quiet and still, and probably the only time I was. My second word, incidentally, which my brothers and sisters took great delight in teaching me, was pub. And I'm still very passionate about those as well.
It's the first and second word of every sentence to this day.
Yeah, true.
Absolutely. So, obviously, growing up in the Midlands, as you've just described, the motor industry all around you. Were you conscious of that when you were growing up?
Yeah, I was very conscious of it because my birth mum and my foster dad both worked at Fort Dunlop. So my foster dad was the deputy training manager, so responsible for training lots of the apprentices there. Huge apprentice workforce then, throughout loads of different departments. And my mum was a shorthand typist, which is why that family eventually fostered me. It all came together quite nicely. But yeah, so I grew up with stickers being brought home from Dunlop's. Was it Together We Made Groundhog? I seem to remember the groundhog tyres and all of those sort of things. So I had groundhog stickers over absolutely everything when I was probably age 4 or 5 onwards. And all sorts of little things like that. I always had green flash trainers where everybody else had sort of stylish Adidas and stuff like that. But yeah, everything was a Dunlop product. Slazenger badminton rackets, all of that kind of thing. So actually, yeah, I was part or brought up within a motor industry family in that way.
Yeah, fantastic. Ultimately, you were destined to be in the public eye, but we know you for Car SOS in these circles, but it all began for you in the public eye with Bentley Rhythm Ace, didn't it? Your band, how did that all come about?
Well, actually, it started a long time before that. Have you got a few minutes?
We're not going anywhere.
No, nor are we. So yeah, no, I started off playing, I did my first gig age 12. And I've got pictures. There are pictures on my Facebook site which anybody can look at, which shows me with my sunglasses on, a great big afro, and some flares. Which, incidentally, if you're a drummer, don't play in bell-bottom flares, because what happens is your bass drum beater gets caught in the flares, and you can't get any sound out. And so I started off playing when I was 12. By the time I was 15, I was playing in bands with people who were sort of 18 to 23, and I was playing in clubs. I was so young that when I played, the only time I was allowed to go out from backstage was when we actually went on stage, and that they'd low light me because I wasn't really supposed to be there. So that happened for a few years. I then joined a band called Hippo that had some sort of success with like competitions from, there was a competition at Brumbeat ran, which Battle of the Bands kind of thing. And then I started doing some, I joined another band and we started doing John Peel sessions and on Radio 1. So by the time I was just 21, I was doing John Peel sessions, which was, again, something, a step forward. By that time, of course, I was an apprentice on the buses for the West Midlands Passenger Transport Executive, otherwise known as WMPT, because of course, back to my first word, buses were my great passion. So I bought my first bus when I was 17.
So is this where the mechanical side of your life comes in then? This was the sort of day job, if you like?
Well, yeah, that was my day job, but I used to go up to my cousin's garage in just outside of Linlithgow in Scotland during the school holidays, and I used to make the tea, and I used to make the number plates up and stuff like that when they have riveted on numbers, and I used to be the fire watch up on the single post ramp while they were welding up cars for their first MOT, because that's how good cars were in the 1970s. So they'd be welding them up for their first MOTs, and I was there with a bucket of water, so if the carpet started smoking, I was putting that out. And that's also where I learned to make tea. So I'm pretty good at making tea.
Yes, all engineers' first grounding.
So everything was coming together at the same time. Got my first drum kit because of a car, actually. I keep going backwards and forwards, but My mum was my birth mum was achondroplastic, which means well, she was more commonly known as dwarfism. So, but she did a competition in a daily newspaper. She used to do a few things like that, and she won a car, a Vauxhall Chevette,
Wow.
1.3 or well 1256, I suppose, pretty much a base model. But she'd never learned to drive in her life. She had no intention of doing so. She couldn't have afforded to have run a car anyway. So what she did was she took the cash option, £1,300. A lot of money at Christmas 1975, but you can imagine that I was quite ambitious to get hold of a little bit of that £1,300. So she said I could have, what I'd always wanted was an electric guitar and amp. So she said you could get one of those. Now the only place that I knew that sold them was Woolworths in Birmingham. So we went to Woolworths in Birmingham, and there was the electric guitar with the amp next to it. I was like, yes, I am at last going to be Jimi Hendrix. Here it comes. And then I looked slightly to one side, and there was a drum kit, a red Sparkle Audition drum kit for £45. The most money that I'd ever imagined spending on anything. And I said, I'd had a pair of bongo drums for a long time, and I knew that I could play the bongo drums. I'd also had a guitar for quite a few years, and I was terrible on it, and even today I'm still terrible on the guitar. So I took the, I went for the drums. I'd gone in to buy a guitar, and I came out with a set of drums. She's difficult with a little mum and your mate and a big box of drums to get home. So that was also the first time I ever had a ride in a black cab. So we had to get a black cab home. So, so the drumming and working on cars, starting at my cousin's garage, all started coming together at the same time, really, in the mid-1970s. Then through to 1980, I started my apprenticeships, playing in bigger bands, doing clubs and stuff like that. That all started building up. By the time I finished my apprenticeship, that's when I was doing John Peel sessions and stuff. So it all came together, and eventually I decided I was going to make a go of it and be a professional musician. And I did stuff with Ranking Roger out of the Beat. I joined a band called General Public, which became Ranking Roger's solo project, and played across America and all that kind of stuff. So this is what was all happening throughout the latter half of the 1980s after I first left the buses. Then, of course, you know, times get hard when you're a musician, and suddenly that band didn't exist anymore. And so I ended up going back to the buses at Dudley Garage. Same clocking in machine, same locker, same workmates, all going, you gave it a go, didn't you? You gave it a go. And so it was a bit of a groundhog day. I did that for a couple of years. Ended up working one day with a bloke called Stevie Fottrell. And he was saying to me, he said, well, look, you know, you could go into management if you cut your dreadlocks off, you know, and you know, you'll be able to do it. You know, it's time to knuckle down now. You're sort of in the last half of your 20s. You've got to get on with things. And you know what I said? I just went, that. And I went in and I handed in my notice. 4 weeks notice, and I took a chance, found a band, and never looked back after that. And it was through that, playing for Pop Will Eat Itself, that I got to Bentley Rhythm Ace. Then I did solo stuff, put music into Sex and the City, Malcolm in the Middle, Queer as Folk, Jackass, Felicity, Charmed, Spaced, you know, with Simon Pegg, all that kind of stuff. And so that all ran through. And then I just found myself working as a college lecturing in music, and I was reading practical classics. I just thought, I saw a little advert saying we're looking for a staff writer. And I thought, well, I've lied my way through everything this far, so I can probably tell another fib and see where that gets me. And so you have any writing experience? I said, you know, yeah. I'd sent a couple of letters into Buses magazine that had been published, so it's not a lie, is it? Not really. It's you know, it's stretching the truth. So I ended up on Practical Classics because the editor at the time went, you're the bloke out of Bentley Rhythm Ace and Pop Will Eat Itself. So I got into cars, professional car stuff, because of all that. Have I rambled on too much? Yeah. So that's how come I'm up here with you, mate.
Well, that's it. Now you've really arrived, Fuzz. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah. You haven't had to say much in the past 5 minutes, have you?
Absolutely. I was once had a fantastic story about Nick Mason, the Pink Floyd drummer.
Yeah.
And he had a young lad come up to one of his car events that he holds at his house. And the young lad said to him, one day, when I grow up, I'd like to be a drummer.
Yeah.
Nick Mason replied, you can't do both. Which I think just about sums it up.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But it was through that writing at Practical Classics and at Classic Car Weekly, I think, as well, that you started to do a few videos, didn't you, on maintenance for cars?
Yeah. So that's what happened, because Practical Classics and Classic Car Weekly are part of Bauer Media, and of course they had other titles like Practical Photography and stuff with swanky cameras, the sort of things that the other magazines didn't have. So I asked the guys from there if they could video me picking up one of the Practical Classics project cars, which they did, and they did a lovely edit on it and all that kind of thing. Put it on YouTube, and hey presto, a couple of years later I got a phone call out of the blue from a TV production company, and I just thought, oh, here we go, they want something for nothing, which is actually probably
true. Yeah.
But they went, no, we've seen some of the videos on YouTube, and we'd like to screen test you with this bloke called Tim Shaw. I was like, all right, okay, Tim Shaw, I know him. From the obviously from the music side of things, he calls himself a radio presenter. I'd call him more of a shock jock. Yes. He doesn't like being called a DJ, a radio DJ, by the way, if you want to wind him up. He doesn't like that, does he?
I think I met him first when I was doing cover work at BRMB, and he was doing shock stuff in the evening.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did work at BRMB.
Yeah.
But so I did the screen test, and hey presto, I didn't think it had happened, but I got the job, and I'm still doing Car SOS now, and of course Shed and Buried with the lovely Henry Cole and Guy Willison, and the very, very talented and very quiet but brilliant engineer Alan Million.
If I can sum up Car SOS, is you've got Wheeler Dealers, which is the making money out of cars, hold out your arms.
Is that really good?
We love all Mike Brewer stuff, but your show is kind of what I call the nice side of classic cars, the cuddly side, the doing stuff for others.
Oh, are you saying Mike Brewer's is the awful side, the horrible side?
No, you're putting those words straight into my mouth.
No, I'm just, it's just your inference.
But it is though, it is doing something really altruistic in car restoration, and your approach to that TV show is kind of like my approach to the commentary and how we tell the history of the cars. Almost the people that are involved with the cars are more important than the cars themselves, because actually that's where the interest of the story is.
Well, I describe it as a program about people who care about each other, and it's got a car in it, and that's really what it is. But life gets in the way, and unexpected things can happen. You're all right one day, next day you're not. And if you're a car enthusiast, if you've maybe you've had your car, you've got it, it's in the garage, you've maybe taken a couple of bits off it here and there, and you're going to get around to it. It's going to happen. Something else stops you from doing it. And those cars have often been sitting around there for decades, and they're never going to get done. And it's great to be able to just basically press the fast forward button, get the cars done in quick time, so that people can enjoy them. Because I think pretty much all of us here must be in some way some sort of car enthusiast, and to not have the car, not being able to get involved with it, to drive it and enjoy it in that way, is a real letdown. It's it's one of those what could have been, and so we just make it what is.
When you look back over some of the amazing stories that you've had on the show, is there one that sticks out as the one that moved you the most, perhaps?
Yeah, there have been a number like that, but I think the first time we really realised sort of how close we sometimes sailed to the wind was when we did a Lancia Delta Integrale. It's become quite a famous show in all of the series of Car SOS. Great car, owned by a very enthusiastic chap. He devoted his life to his family. He'd got ill, and his 12 or 13-year-old daughter had nominated for the Car SOS treatment. Nominated the car. We picked up the car, we had it in the workshop, and just a few days later, the chap died unexpectedly. He was ill anyway, but something else just happened, and unfortunately that was that. And we really felt for his daughter, because she'd gone from doing what was going to be one of the most wonderful things, and was looking forward to the moment when her dad was presented back with the car, and she'd sort of managed to do the nomination and achieve this. For her to have her life completely blown apart, and it was a difficult build after that. But we spoke to the family, and they said that they would still like it to be done. So we completed the car, and the family still has the car, I believe, to this day, and it's part of their lives, part of their world. That was one of those moments where you have to take stock, and it has happened a couple of times on Car SOS. We try not to take on cars where that's a huge risk, but inevitably things do happen like that. So yeah, there are touching moments, but for those couple of absolute tragedies, we've done 110 cars so far. So 108 have hopefully been happy outcomes.
Amazing, and we see it on the TV in very short form, in actual fact, but generally speaking, when you're doing those cars, you're locked in that workshop for weeks on end, aren't you?
Well, each of the cars tends to take a minimum of 800 hours. It's normally, the rough ones are sort of up to 1600 hours, things like the MGA that we did, the Mercedes Pagoda, the 230 SL from 1964, that was big on the hours. So it's a lot of hours to plough into a car in a very short time. And we do 10 cars over a period of about 34 weeks. So it's a lot of work, we have a lot of hands thrown at it. We get an awful lot of help and support from various industries. Britpart have been involved in a number of the cars that we've done. They did one in the last series as well. I'm sure they regretted it, because it turned out to be far worse than it was at first thought. But that's the way that it's happened. And Barracks have helped us out as well for now. So without and of course people like Aldridge Trimming as well, another West Midlands outfit. Without the help and support of people in the motor industry and the generosity of individuals and companies, we wouldn't be able to do Car SOS. It's not achievable just on the budget alone. So I think all of those guys. Let's have a round of applause for the Britpart guys and for SMG Barrett as well. You see what I'm doing here?
He's punching them up.
We start another series of Car SOS on Tuesday.
Yes.
You've got it, haven't you?
That's it. You'll be rocking up at Britpart Workshop at Paul's Garage with Steve in it with the next project.
I can lip read Paul.
You touch on a good point there, and this is what we've been celebrating here today at Shelsley Walsh with the Lucas Classic. The tremendous community of businesses and people that sits around historic vehicles, and it's tremendously tight-knit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So I've over the past sort of decade and a half, while I've been a classic car journo and TV presenter, I've met some really brilliant people, lots of whom have become really great friends. I've loved every minute of it. It's opened out a whole new world for me, as I'm sure it has for you when you've bought a car. What am I going to do with this? And suddenly you find yourself here, you find yourself in car clubs, you find yourself knocking about with other nutters, because that's what we are.
We are.
And like-minded enthusiasts, and having a great time. Things like this event here on a Saturday afternoon in June. It's sunny. There's been some brilliant sights and sounds, and some great old chinwags as well. Great, can't beat it.
No, it is absolutely right, and it's great to celebrate it with all of you guys here. So we've got some awards to hand out in just a moment, but put your hands together. It's been a great chat. Fuzz Townsend, everyone.
Thank you. You go on,
You go on all night. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, actually. If if I'm not getting hurried up by those at the back, let's throw the floor open for some questions to see if anyone else would like to ask some questions of Fuzz.
This is dangerous.
This is the dangerous
Yeah,
bit.
this is where it happens.
And I'm not going to take any questions from people who met him in a pub one night, because we've heard them stories before. Yes, sir, you're back with the sunglasses. You have to shout loud, though.
I'm interested to know how you developed your skills as a mechanical engineer. You've outlined so far your history in journalism, etc.
Okay.
But you are obviously such a good mechanical engineer. When did you develop those skills?
Well, do you know what? I know some really great mechanics and engineers that I've got to know over the past few years. I know that I am still on my apprenticeship, but I started my apprenticeship on West Midlands buses in 1980. So I started with that. I bought my first Land Rover when I was 18. I bought a 1950 Series 1, lights through the full grille, little 80-inch. And so, you know, I started messing about with that. I'd had a Ford Anglia before that, which got one trip down the garden and clattered to a halt, and that was the end of that. And ended up on the back of a Henry Tyroni's wagon, if anybody knows who they are. Yeah, ended up on the back of a Tyroni's wagon. They said they'd pay £10 minimum for any car. They didn't pay me 10 quid for that one. They took it away for free though. So that was fair enough. Actually, it was such a wreck. You know, I thought they was pushing it, because there certainly wasn't £10 worth of steel left in that, that's for sure. Although it did have a very nice set of leopard print fun fur seat covers, which nice. I wish I'd saved. Yeah. But that was, you know, Tyroni's was a big thing. If ever you had a scrap car, that's where you went to in Birmingham, and so I already had that knowledge. But so it's been a matter of listening to people and watching people. I still get to do that because I'm in an unusual position where I get to visit all kinds of workshops. Some of them are equipped with the most modern high-tech equipment, so I know what can be done there. But then I go to little workshops around the back of industrial estates. One such guy I remember going to visit, a guy called John Gibson, did a lot with pre-war singers and stuff like that, building cranks out of billet and stuff like that, machining them on you know, sort of older equipment. Just amazing artful engineers, people who are true artists, you know, in the engineering field, who are able to look at stuff and just imagine that something can be done, and then turn that into something that's three-dimensional, fit it into an engine, or build an engine with their own hands and skills, and it works. And that sort of engineering has always left me in awe. So what I know how to do now is to use and utilise the best of those people. So yeah, I can weld, and yes, I can, I can take a car apart and put a car back together again. But a lot of what I do is about the team, and working with a great team, encouraging the team to be able to do things, and when we need to outsource stuff, knowing who to go to. So that's what it's all about. It's, you know, you can't be the greatest footballer on your own and play for your country on your own. You've got to have the rest of the team around you, and that's what I know, and it works in all fields of life, but especially with restoring cars. There's some great companies out there, really knowledgeable people, and you know, I meet loads of new ones every single year. And you know, I don't think a day goes by without me learning something new. Probably because I've broken it.
Well, when you're passionate, you just become a big sponge of information, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. So, any further questions?
This lady here. Good question.
Okay. Well, I joined the Transport Museum at Withell, which still exists now, and so, because I was a member and had bought a bus, I got preferential treatment along with my friend Frank Sharkey, who I bought the bus with. So we rented a space at the museum. I think it was 50p a week, to park it there, which, when you were only earning about sort of 45 quid, was still, you know, still a little bit of a spend. And you know, when the bill came in after a month, you know, that £2 felt like a lot of money. But so that's where we parked it then, and so that museum has expanded, and it's now a really great place to visit. So if ever you're over the sort of over the Withall Way, which is between Birmingham and Redditch, it's worth taking a look. And of course, I think they have one of the largest collections of electric delivery vehicles in the UK as well. If you want to get a little bit more niche than a bus, there you are. You've got it. But so yeah, so that's how I found a place there. I now have another bus, the probably the fourth or fifth one that I've owned, and I rent a space in a barn up the road from a farmer. And you know, it's an inexpensive thing. There are no facilities for me to work on it there, but I can store it there. So there's always, where there's a will, there's a way.
You weren't tempted to use it as a tour bus like Paul McCartney in Wings or something?
No. Although the bus that I think one of the buses that they did a Wings tour in, an ancient Leyland PD2 Titan, that they did some stuff in when they were in Wings in about 1972. That's just been restored. So that's another massive feat of group engineering. People have got together and worked as a team on that and got that put back together as well. So no, I wasn't tempted to do that. My bus only does 38 miles per hour, so I'm you know, you're going to spend a long time getting anywhere. But I do know that there was a guy who used to be in the Small Faces, Ronnie Lane. He used to, when the Faces split up in the early 70s, he went solo, and he decided to get this little guy bus and attach a boat-top trailer onto the back of it and do his tour. They'd travel like you know, travelling minstrels going around the country doing gigs. Trouble is though, with the boat-top caravan on the back, it would only do about 20 miles per hour. So they had to set out from the gig the night before to get to the one the next night, because it took them so long to get there. No, it's not practical. Let's not do that.
No, fair enough. Any other questions from the floor?
Go on.
We've got time for one more.
That fella in the red was going to say something. You did put your hand up. Double decker. I've had, I think, 3 double deckers and 1 single. So, do you want to know what they are? What they were? I didn't work at Harts Hill Garage. No, I worked at Dudley Garage for most of my qualified time on the buses. But I did, when I qualified, I was at Stourbridge. Stourbridge Garage, it was on the Ring Road. It's now where the Mercedes garage is on the Ring Road. So I was the last person into Stourbridge, and I took a chance because I was offered a job building Gardner engines, Rolls Royces and Leyland engines at Tyburn Road Works. It was too much of a factory for me. I wanted to be out. For me, I love problem solving. If something's not working, I like to find out what stopped it from working and make it work again. That's the sort of like little puzzle that I like, and that's what floats my boat. So being out at garage allowed me to do that an awful lot more. So I took a chance. The plum job in Tyburn Road Works was engine building, and when I turned it down, the bloke rocked back on his heels. He was like, "What? You're turning down engine building? It's the best job there is, you know." It was the white glove department. But no, I couldn't do it. So I ended up at Stourbridge working on Clattery old Leyland Nationals, and then at Dudley, the most horrible and hard work garage on the system. But you know, if you stick with anything for long enough, you can get used to it. And some of the people there are still very close friends of mine to this day.
Wonderful. On the buses.
That's right. I tell you, that show on the buses is not miles apart from what was going on the buses when I started there. Honestly, it's exact. It's accurate. It's really accurate. Question at the back.
If you want to see that Lancia Delta, it's every year at the country classic car show.
Hold on, the Lancia Delta, did you say?
The Grani that you did, it's on show, the guy takes it to, or the family takes it to the natural classic car show.
Oh right, okay, so that's really cool. So the Lancia Delta Integrale is still out there, and the family's still enjoying it. For me, that is the greatest thing, because they, you know, they suffered a great loss, but they are still forging ahead with that enthusiasm, and probably in a way that I don't imagine that they thought they'd be involved with it. But I think also the Lancia Delta Integrale Club sort of came together and helped to support them, and I think they've been part of that car family ever since. So it's that's a brilliant thing. I'm glad to know that it's been out there.
Wonderful. It's what I love about Car SOS, Fuzz, and the work that you do on that show, is that it is all about how cars are such an important part of family life for so many of us, and really are the vehicle for holding memories as much as anything else, and that's the important message from that show.
Well, that's right. If you look back in all your holiday snaps, somewhere in the background, that old Cortina's sitting in the background somewhere, isn't it? Or the Mini, or what have you. So yeah, they've become an important part of our lives, and I think certainly when we're in our formative years, the sights, sounds and smells, and the days out and the holidays and just the ordinary journeys, to Cubs or guides and back, they all become part of the fabric of what we do. I've not gone for getting a Cortina Mark 1, Mark 2 or Mark 3 or any of the other things that we've had, but I still remember them fondly, and when a picture pops up with one of them in, I'm there.
And also great memories like we formed today here at Shelsley Walsh for the Lucas Classic. So let's make some more memories by handing out some awards.
That's right.
And we've got a set of lovely trophies over here on the table. We're all wide mics, but we're rock and roll now, Fuzz. Let's just jump off.
Yeah. Don't go too close to those front of those speakers. I'm trying not to myself. You can tell I'm getting old. I don't really get down from the stage as gracefully as I used to.
Let's hope we don't get terrible feedback here.
Yeah.
But, right, I've got some names here, and I'm not getting eaten by these ridiculous horseflies that are in here at the moment.
That's right. They like you, though, don't you?
Yeah, they're having a good old chew over there. Right, we've had lots of Scalextric battlers in the barn today, and I know there was one guy who was really proud that he was number one on the leaderboard for most of the morning. He's now gone home. He didn't win, actually, by the looks of this. So we've got an award for the adult that won for the fastest time on the Scalextrics, and an award for the child, or the small child and the big child.
Surely, yeah, that's right, exactly. Sort of one and the same.
So, let's do the child's award first. And it is for a time of 3.08 seconds. It goes to Jay.
Well, big round of applause for Jay. Well done.
Jay. Let's have a picture of Fuzz here.
You'll come in.
There's the camera over there. Look, okay, hold on. Look proud.
Come in between us here.
Stand in the middle.
We only bite on days with a Y in them.
There we are.
Well done, Jay.
So I'd eat that chocolate quickly because
Another round of applause for Jay.
Well done. You've been waiting for that moment all day, haven't you? I know. Well done, Jay. Adult award now with a time of 2.83 seconds.
That's showing off. That really is showing off. Okay, I will do. Oh look, no moe, no shy.
Very nice. It goes to Alec G.
Alec G, here we go. There you go, well done, Alec. Congratulations. That's a fast finger, I can feel it there.
Quick photograph in the middle.
Come in between us here.
There we are. Well done. Alec G, everyone. This is like a 70s TV show, this one. It is. Beat the buzzer.
You do look a bit like Bruce.
Nice to see you, nice and all that. Right, adult award goes to, for Beat the Buzzer this is, the time of 14.53 seconds. I can't read the handwriting. It is Matt Free.
Matt Free.
Matt Free.
Matt Free. Okay. There he is.
There he is. Sorry, Matt, I just confused you.
Yeah, here we go. What do you want, the chocolate or the... Okay, well done.
Well done, Matt.
Congratulations.
Quick picture in the middle here. I'm sorry, we will have to ruin it for you by standing.
Well done, congratulations.
That's Matt.
Let's go.
got another one for another child award here for All the Way Without a Buzz. Amazing. All the way from the end without a buzz. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It is the child winner, Phoenix.
There we go. Well done, Phoenix. Look at that. Congratulations. Well done. You going to get your photograph taken with us?
Well done. Wow. Yeah. Fantastic. Right, okay, yeah, because we had coconuts and skittles. The winner of that has received that and taken it away. For the most annoying insect, I can award this horsefly here. That covers all of those. So we're onto the cars.
We are onto the cars. Right, okay, so I have got that on my phone.
Now this was really tough to decide because we saw most of the cars in the paddock come up the hill throughout the day. Every single one of them was amazing, right the way from the early 1920s cars, right the way through the 60s, that whole load of beautiful E-types we had come up. I mean, the star of the day obviously was the Citroen C4, nothing else could match that. The rest of us all tried, you know, but overall we did have to pick best sports car, best saloon car, best 4x4, best motorcycle, and best overall. And,
motorcycles have gone, well, they go early, those guys, don't
well,
they?
they've got a long way to go, and we have awarded a motorcycle, and I know he's not here, but we will give him a shout out. Let's start with the motorcycle.
Start with the motorcycle.
Yeah,
so the best motorcycle we felt was the BSA Rocket 3, owned by Andy Stickley. Now, I saw that go up the hill, and it was a quick bike for its time.
It was.
It was, yeah.
It was a quick bike today. Still looks nice going up the hill at Shelsley Walsh. The next award is for best 4x4 of the day, and we would have liked to have given it to Paul in the Brit Park Monster, but of course, as sponsor, that just wouldn't be fair. But so instead, we went for a different end of the spectrum to a Series 1 Land Rover, one that had a fascinating story. It had been restored and been in the family for decades. The winner is Fuzz.
Well, yeah. What I will say is before we announce the winner, there were some really stonking Series 1 Land Rovers there. Some very stiff competition, and they all deserved to win. But the way that it clinched it was the way that the family had kept hold of this vehicle for such a long time. So it was just proof that actually cars mean more than just transport. So that's why we awarded it to the Land Rover KKH 255, owned by Andrew Holland. Congratulations, Andrew. It's a great car. If you get a chance to have a little look at it, it's a fantastic little machine there. Well done, Andrew. Okay.
The next award was awarded by you, Fuzz, actually, because you were pretty certain you knew which car this was going to be. It was the award for best saloon, and there were some stunning saloons. Jaguar Mark IIs we had up the hill. We had some beautiful, that Ford Cortina that came up also in the running for it. But in the end, you went for which car?
Went for the Lagonda 2.5 with the 4.5 Meadows engine, owned by Simon Elliott. Owned by the Elliots. Fantastic car, and I know that I went up in it, and it's certainly my era of car. And I will say, get into your pre-war cars, people, because they are absolutely brilliant, absolutely amazing. Well done, Simon. Congratulations. That is a fantastic car, fabric bodied, really unusual for today. Well done. Little car.
And my opportunity to talk about the fact that Lagonda was formed originally by an ex-opera singer over from America.
Is that right?
Yeah, 1906.
Yeah, he just decided to do that.
Yeah, he just he got into engineering boats and stuff.
Yeah.
Opera singing wasn't working out, so he decided to form Lagonda. And of course, by the end of the Second World War, we saw Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm commentating again. Shut up, Wayne, and carry on with the awards because sports cars are next. And this was real difficult to figure out. Oh, there's so many, wasn't there? I had my favourites, you had yours. We tossed a coin. We had a punch up, and in the end, we came up with a winner.
Yeah, we did. Now this car has it's modified. It's got a different engine in it. but it showed the spirit, I thought, or we thought of motorsport really, getting in, making things work, and sort of personal endeavours as well, and getting involved, getting your hands dirty, and enjoying owning the car, developing it, modifying it, and also using it in motorsport.
And I must apologise for having said that it had a B series with Riley in it all the way up the hill all day, because the model before it did, but this particular one has been heavily modified, now sporting a V6. And it is?
It is the Rochdale Olympic, owned by Tony Stanley.
Well done, Tony. For the cutest car, and we would have given you that as well, because it really was.
There you go.
Well,
Yeah. And
So
driving
do
to
we.
bits as well.
I wouldn't check sloppy for anything.
That's brilliant. Well, that's great. It's a great car. It's given everybody a lot of fun, and you've driven it in a spirited way up that hill, so fantastic. So thank you for doing that, Tony. Well, great stuff. Thank you.
well done. Just one whopping great trophy left, Fuzz, and this is for our car of the show.
Yeah, now
The
this-
overall winner,
yeah.
the big one.
Yeah, that's right. A difficult choice. Again, a very difficult choice, because there are so many beautifully restored cars, well-loved cars, well-used cars, but there's one that just exuded a great spirit, I think, and we thought. So we gave the overall winner award to the MGKN, owned by Dean Butler. Sounded great on the line. I don't know if he's here. He's doing the long way round.
Like all true MG men, he's in the car. Well done. Congratulations.
No, thank you. And there you go, Dean. I've been told that you know a certain engineering marvel called John Gibson.
Oh, yes. He is an engineering model.
He is, absolutely. But that car, did he work on your car?
He didn't work on that one, but he's worked on other cars of mine.
Ah, good
I'm
stuff.
trying to get him to work on another one, he's too busy.
Yeah, it's difficult. You've got to have a photograph taken with us.
Yes.
You've got to have your photograph. You can't go off with that cup. That cup's got to get engraved, by the way, so I think you might have to give it back. Well done, congratulations. Welcome, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the overall winner then, the MGKN Special from 1935, Dean taking the trophy away, and that is all of our awards, the fun ones for the games that you've all been enjoying, and of course those more serious vehicle awards.
The good mentor took it back to getting great.
It was really tough, but thank you all for bringing your vehicles along. They are all absolutely marvellous, and even I'd say even the sequel, all really marvellous. It's great that everybody's come along here, and if you haven't won an award, even if you've been working on your car for many years, we're sorry that you didn't win an award, but it's the reward for your hard work should have been the smiles on the faces that you've probably seen when people have been admiring your work and your cars. So give all of yourselves a round of applause, because you're all too well deserved.
I've got to run off down the motorway, but I've got the Indy tomorrow, the Simply Jaguar, to do all this commentary like all over again. When are you next on our screens, folks?
Well, I'm busy filming 2 different TV shows at the moment, so I guess you can see some of my endeavours on repeat on various channels, but new stuff will be coming out later in the year for Shed and Buried, and then it won't be until next year for Car SOS.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been great to have with us as our guest of honour this weekend at Lucas Classic, Fuzz Townsend.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been brilliant. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you, Wayne. Yeah, the prize for best compare goes to...
Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much. Have an amazing night. We'll see you at another show. If you're down at Beaulieu tomorrow, pop in to see us at Simply Jaguar. That's not it for this evening because the